The following transmission contains unencrypted instances of explicit language.
Shall we begin?
Smiley is suspicious, Percy.
You won't know who to trust. Let's begin.
Sicario's a 2015 film. I actually found that surprising. It doesn't feel that recent to me.
Right? It seems like forever ago. But
I don't know.
This quarantine, it's been crazy.
Yeah. You saw it when it came out?
Yeah. Well, I didn't see it in theaters, but when it was available, I guess, to watch at home, I watched it. And I was immediately blown away.
I don't even remember why I went and saw it. I just must have liked the trailers or something. Primary agencies that we're going to see featured. We got the FBI, the CIA, and the Sonora Cartel of Mexico. Although, for accuracy, that could have been rewritten as the Sinaloa Cartel, probably, because they absorbed the Sonora Cartel in the 2000s. Has to have been a conscious choice, I think. Maybe they just thought, like, I remember, I think it was Danny Trejo, he was talking about some movie they made with Edward James Olmos, like, a long time ago, about Mexican drug gangs, and he was Danny Trejo was really concerned, like, hey, some of this shit we should not be saying.
About that movie? Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm guessing it's a conscious choice so that, like, they're not slandering any existing gang, but the Sonora would have, except for the fact, again, like, that they're now defunct, but they were the number one. They were the first big Mexican gang to start smuggling cocaine in from Colombia. There's also there's an officer of some kind of Mexican law enforcement agency that is working with the Americans. His agency never quite gets specified. Over on the side, we'll also see. That's okay. So that's the guy. I'm thinking of the guy that visits Alejandro at the army base right after they've extracted Guillermo. He comes in, they kind of talk about, he says, I'm sorry about what happened to you.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Oh, okay. He's the guy that gives the tip.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and, we know, we can deduce his involvement because Alejandro says to him, it must have been really hard to keep him alive. Talking about Guillermo.
I see. Right.
Right. We're also going to see a little bit of Delta Force, some U.S. Marshals, and the involvement of a Colombian cartel is suggested, but not outright displayed or anything. The director, I know the pronunciation of the first name, that the S is silent. It's Denis Villeneuve, something like that. Do you know the movies that he's done since Sicario? Sicario is one of his first.
No.
Well, he did Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, and Dune.
Oh, wow.
So he's gone on to big kick-ass auteur science fiction kind of stuff. You have seen Arrival, I hope?
No, I still keep forgetting to watch that. I know everybody was going nuts when it first came out.
Fucking amazingly good movie. Really,
yeah.
really good. Yeah. Emily Blunt stars in this one.
She was great.
She is really great.
You know what I really liked about this film? Anytime there's like a female lead or even like supporting that's in something that's considered very masculine, where like you're gonna kick down doors and shoot up the place, there's always like some asshole that's like, oh, you're a girl, fuck you, But like, even when like she first meets Benicio, first of all, Brolin just picks her right off the bat, and then when she first meets Benicio del Toro, He doesn't talk any shit. It's just like, okay, well, Brolin picked you, so you're good. Like no one. There was never that line like, you know, wear some dresses and put on some makeup. You know, like I
Right.
really liked. You know, she's like an accomplished like FBI assault. Like I don't know what you like. She was on the assault team for the FBI, right? Like I don't know what that unit would be called, but she
She's
yeah.
missing persons is her division.
Right, but like she's like on the like she's in the tactical gear when she like she's not like in a suit with a badge like telling the muscle to go in. She is the muscle. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, and
She's in like the SWAT
yeah,
equipped team at the beginning of the movie.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know what they call that unit in FBI, but yeah, we'll just go with SWAT assault something. But I well, one she did I loved her performance, but I just really liked how the film didn't ever put that scene in because I think we've seen that scene like 100 bajillion times, and like she's playing a character that's like I said, she's playing the muscle, and the fact that no one ever like gave her shit about it, like just like how everyone was like, oh, okay, well you're on the team, so okay, we're going to work then. Like everything was very matter of fact, and like no one ever like shat on her other than like her experience in like this
Matter of
like
matter of
cesspool of like
right. Yeah, matter of fact very much describes pretty much everyone in this movie.
yeah
Like, and I think it's definitely uh, like the kind of vibe is, you know, if whatever job you've got, you know, everyone just assumes you got there because you fucking earned it, you know, and
right
that you're supposed to
yeah
be there.
yeah
um, yeah, she's got, you know, I think some actors really would have thought this is a pretty thankless task. She's got so little agency in this movie as a character, but
Mhm.
that's the point of the
yeah
movie.
yeah
And she just runs with it and really sells it in the best possible way. I mean, it's a perfect
Mhm.
example of an audience surrogate. You know,
oh yeah
we're
yeah absolutely
we're watching what's going on, and that's kind of too like I don't know, like the really a good feel for this movie to have is to be like a powerless bystander,
Mhm.
you know, and like
yeah
like you do have some culpability or some responsibility to do something, but what can you do except just kind of uh
yeah right yeah, exactly yeah where you know she's kind of like the newbie in this space, I guess, which I think the audience surrogate is a perfect way to put it because like we got to ride along with her, especially with all the car scenes. Um, but yeah, like it kind of sucked watching that. But I think it was part of the mystery of like you know trying to figure out what was actually going on in the story. But it all made sense, and usually an audience surrogate is so blatantly obvious that it's like yeah, it's the dumb kid that you know and nobody likes him or whatever. But everything makes sense. She's like new on the team, and it's not a cut and dry space that she's used to as being an FBI agent.
yeah, yeah. um the main other movie that I know her, I mean, when I look at her, yeah, I did see Devil Wears Prada. I didn't remember her from that.
Mhm.
um I do definitely remember from her from Edge of Tomorrow, which I love, and I love her in. And I didn't check out the new Mary Poppins. That has to have been a truly thankless task. Which
Right.
I looked it up though. It looks like she passed the test with critics on that. That can't have been easy.
No, not at all. I heard good things as well, but I didn't see it either.
All right. Um, Benicio
Yep.
del Toro, fucking so good in this movie, so good in everything. I've never not been blown away by this guy.
No.
Um, okay, fun fact: he's got the most awesome Latino name ever. His full name, get ready, Benicio Monserrate Rafael del Toro Sanchez.
I thought forever he was related to Guillermo until I looked it up, and seeing this name, I wish I'd known this name before, because then I would have never confused it.
He did some reading on him. Predictably enough, he started with small television roles and shit like Miami Vice.
Shit!
Just
I remember watching that. Yeah, that was
probably playing Puerto Rican gangster number 3 or something like that. Good trivia question. His first film is Big Top Pee-wee in 1988. I didn't see that one. I did not see Big Top Pee-wee, but I like Big Adventure.
Yeah,
quite a bit. He's also got he's also in a Bond film, one that we haven't covered. And he, at the time at least, I don't know if he still holds this, but he's the youngest person to play a Bond henchman. When he was 21 years old, he's in 1989's License to Kill, which is the second Dalton film. So someday when we do Dalton, I mean, we only have 2 to choose from. Maybe we'll pick that one.
Right.
Me, of course, being a, super Hunter S. Thompson fan, the first time Benicio crossed my radar was in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Thought he was really cool in that. It's only later after he became more famous. At the time of Usual Suspects, I don't think anyone really noticed him in that movie. He's the first of the crew to get whacked.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's in there, but he's got one Oscar for Traffic.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch that one again. He's also in Snatch, Sin City, 21 Grams, and a little known movie that I personally ride pretty hard for, which is Way of the Gun. And
he was also in Guardians. We saw that together with Kim.
Oh,
remember?
right. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
He was the collector.
Uh-huh.
Even in a small part like that, he's always got this great presence.
And he's got his Star Wars badge as well for Rise of Skywalker or something like that. I think it was the second movie, the second of the new through ones
of the new trilogy.
Yeah.
Who was? Oh, I didn't. I blocked that film out. I don't
he's an informant guy. He's basically kind of a spy in that one, actually.
Oh, nice.
So cool for us. Not enough to warrant making that movie a Spies Like Us podcast production. But hey, Rogue One later this year. Is that what we think?
Yeah, Andor, I think. Well, we're definitely going to do Rogue One before Andor once we get an actual release date for Andor. But I think from what I'm reading, it's going to be this summer. I mean, they got the whole Boba Fett and then I guess the third Mandalorian. So that's what everybody's giddy about. But Todd and I are really just sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for Andor.
Yeah, I officially don't care about anything Star Wars except Andor.
Yeah, you and me both, bud.
Yeah. And then he happens to be also in the new Wes Anderson film, which I haven't seen, The French Dispatch, which it looks like that's a film with 30 major film stars in it. It's a super, super loaded cast.
Wes Anderson has gotten to that level where all his new stuff is just going to be everybody. Everybody's just begging to be in it. I didn't even know there was a new Wes Anderson. I'm going to have to go check that out.
Yeah, I think it was October, November, sometime around there. I want to say November, around Thanksgiving. I think it was a Thanksgiving film. There was weirdly on IMDb and Wikipedia, there's no production notes or trivia on this movie. I'm not sure if that's because this movie kind of just flew under the radar, and nobody cares, or maybe by 2015, maybe all that stuff is showing up on other sites that I don't know about. But there was one that I liked quite a bit, and it's almost a direct mirror to that situation with Clint Eastwood in Where Eagles Dare, where the original script had a lot more lines for the Alejandro character. And it was Del Toro that went to the director and said, this guy wouldn't talk this much. by a lot. Apparently.
That's really cool.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. I always love, like, the job of an actor is not just acting to me, but I love it when actors make it their job, because it is an important part of their job. They have to be the advocate of their character. Like, they have to know their character better than anybody else, involved in the process. And if something doesn't smell right to them, they need to say something. Yeah. And so, of course, he did. Villeneuve agreed. I've heard Villeneuve say that literally 90% of his lines were removed from the film.
Oh, wow.
I heard that he explains his backstory in his very first meeting with Kate in the script. Which,
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes me...
That wouldn't have flied well.
No. I mean, I guess I have a feeling maybe the original script maybe wasn't as good as the final product. I did find it online because I was trying to Google and, like, just be able to word search and put some of this plot points together. And there's a bunch of stuff. There's a scene in Colombia. There's like with Alejandro, like there's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't make it into the film, and it totally works. It's absolutely the right decision. This guy, yeah, he shouldn't talk much at all, and he definitely shouldn't be the one that explains his own backstory.
Yeah, and the lines that he does have, like, were epic. Just a couple that I really liked. At the end when he's with Silvio, or when he gets Diaz, and he's just like, do anything silly and 20 men will violate your daughter. Like that's how hard you got to talk to a cartel leader. You know what I mean? Like, and then what was it? There was another one that I liked. That's what happens when you chop the head off a turkey or a chicken, or was that Brolin? I think that was Brolin. I don't know, but yeah. And you had one that you loved.
Oh yeah. It's the first quote that shows up in IMDb when Kate is asking him some stuff about, I don't know, the cartels, and his response is, "You're asking me how a watch works. For now, let's just keep an eye on the time."
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's a fucking great line. I wish they had saved that one for a little later in the movie. I think.
Yeah.
He says that one pretty early. Josh Brolin is also in this movie. And you remember what movie was it with the super bro-y CIA guys? It was...
Oh, that was the Kevin Costner one, wasn't it?
No. I'm thinking of... Actually, it might even be your favorite movie. Is it The
Good Shepherd?
There's some movie that's mostly not. It's mostly like British intelligence, but there was one point where like a bunch of drunk bro dudes kind of like.
That was Munich.
Munich, yes.
Oh my God, yeah. I love that scene so much. You talking about where they like bro it up on the street and stop the killing?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. I remember like when we were doing the work on that podcast, thinking like this reminds me of the Josh Brolin character from Sicario. This guy is I think I think this is the most. I'm not 100% sure. I have seen and I've listened to interviews with Josh Brolin. I think this is actually him being the most himself of any role that I've seen him in. He's
I just love how he's always chewing gum.
he's definitely chewing gum. He's got this shit eating, I don't give a fuck, untouchable, entitled kind of thing, but also, while, you know, at the same time always like seeming supremely competent.
Right.
The flip-flops. I got so
at Quantico, what was that, Quantico, or it was the FBI office? Oh my god, that was hilarious.
I'm actually kind of really annoyed. I watched an interview with him recently, and that was one of the first questions the interviewer asked him was about the flip-flops, and Brolin didn't answer the question and just started making some fucking fart noises or something. And I was really annoyed because I want to hear your answer. I want to hear, was this you, or was that in the script? One thing I kind of thought, which I'm not sure that it really holds water. I think, to me, one thought that the flip-flops convey to me is this is a guy that does undercover a lot, you know, that, you know, does a lot of his job in plain clothes. He's not a man in black,
right?
You know,
right.
with the tie and the sunglasses and the earpiece and the stuff. You know, he's running around in shorts and a Hawaiian shirt, and chewing his gum.
Chewing his gum. The whole movie. Yeah. Anytime that like he gets challenged, he's just sitting there chewing gum. Like, what? This isn't a big deal. Forget about it. Yeah.
Right. Josh Brolin, of course, being one of the two people that, you know, are almost always surprising to be reminded that they first appeared in Goonies.
Right.
And then, but for me, I think, this is the movie I think I guess I saw him in first, but I didn't really start paying attention to him until he started working with the Coen brothers. And I think we got 3 movies there. I don't know if I'm missing one, but we got No Country for Old Men, of course. He's also in True Grit, and in what I think is his best acting role. This is the one where I started saying, like, no, this guy is actually a really good actor. I think his performance in Hail Caesar was really, really, really good. I loved doing that. I loved watching him in that.
Yeah, and it's hard to catch him with that cast because that cast was like a all-star cast.
Hail Caesar. Well, let's see. You got you got Clooney, you got your girl,
Frances McDormand and Tilda Swinton,
right?
And ScarJo.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's one of 2 people that I know of. I think I'm right on this. Only 2 people have both played 2 different characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mm-hmm. Josh Brolin is Thanos, of course, the amazing Thanos.
The amazing Thanos.
Also a role that I think Brolin just fucking killed it so hard with that guy.
Yeah.
And he said you know, a lot of actors will say that they don't like working under that much makeup or, you know, that much CGI. But he said he totally loved it, and he felt like really free to just like internalize the character. You know, like a lot of his acting was done like with not even with the other people around, just him by himself in a I don't know, room with a bunch of ping pong balls glued to him or something. And then I think it's Paul Rudd. Who's no, I get these guys.
Paul Rudd was Ant-Man.
Okay, and who is Green Lantern?
Oh, Ryan Reynolds, but Green Lantern's DC.
Ryan Reynolds. Okay, so it's Ryan. Oh, okay. So maybe it's Ryan Reynolds that shows up in 2 DC things. Something. Okay. Anyways, moving on. That's our. Yeah.
Well, for the Thanos thing, I wanted to point out because you and I love like all kinds of weird films. He was in the American version of Old Boy, and you know, in Endgame when Scarlet Witch shows up and is like, "You took everything from me," and he's like, "I don't even know who you are." Someone on the internet made a meme of that shot, and then under it put because Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Scarlet Witch, was the daughter in Old Boy, the American one, which I think actually was Spike Lee, which was kind of weird. Was that Spike Lee?
Oh, is that why they were asking about Spike Lee in the interview? Okay.
Oh, that might. Oh, okay. Oh, so then it must have been.
That is weird. Spike Lee, Old Boy.
Yeah. Hold on, let me double check this. So yeah, it's Spike Lee. but you know, because the Old Boy character sleeps with his daughter, and his daughter was Elizabeth Olsen. So somebody made a cool meme. I don't know. I got a kick out of it. That like, you know, I don't even know who you are. They like fucked an Old Boy.
For some reason, I mean, I know I like it. We like to flag actors that have shown up in movies that we've covered previously. We got 2 in Sicario. Can you name them? One of them's easy. One of them's easy. One of them's hard.
Yeah, well, the easy one is definitely Daniel Kaluuya, who was we did Judas and the Black Messiah, but he's most famous for Get Out. He was good in this because he played that kind of. He was an FBI agent, but he's like, you know, ex-military, and I thought he did a great job of playing that military guy because I've never seen him like that. You know, with Judas and the Black Messiah, he kind of has that like kind of militant character because he's, you know, he's kind of like a organized like Black Panther leader, but watching him in this, it was a little different than what I'm used to in some of the other stuff he's played. So it shows that he's got quite a bit of range.
Yeah, it's a small role that but that I could see people looking at and saying this guy could do bigger things. You know,
yeah.
Call his agent.
Let's
talk. The other one. Do you know this one, or can I make you guess? Can I give you hints, or do you just know it?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'm going to tell you who the guy is in Sicario. Silvio, the cop with the soccer playing son.
Right. Yeah.
He has appeared in a television show that we've covered. So that should narrow it down for you, maybe.
No idea. You got to tell me.
He was in The Americans? No?
Oh, shit. Was he Beeman's partner?
That's right.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow. You got a good eye. I did not catch that.
No, I just find this shit on IMDb.
Oh, okay.
Although, no, it was someone, I think all it was is I saw a comment, someone mentioned that he had been in The Americans and that someone from this movie had been in The Americans, and then I sat down and scratched my head until I figured it out.
Oh, okay.
Right. Anything else before we go to the brief? Well, I guess, we can gush about like how cool the movie is. I mean, we love this movie, right? Really
unbelievable. Just the action, like you know, I'm a sucker for like realistic action, and just having like these assault teams and like helicopters and like shit going on, and it wasn't like over the top explosions, made me really happy. So I enjoyed all of that.
Except for a fairly extended gunfight near the end of the movie. This movie is very, like, the minutes of action are very small. There's very little of it, but it's the build up and the I don't know, the action when it happens, it feels very impactful.
Yeah.
It feels well set up and well paid off, and always extremely realistic.
Retinal scan complete. Validating security clearance. Clearance granted. You may now enter the briefing room.
as we said, Kate mostly is just like the outsider peering in. I mean, she's kind of been brought in, but she's not being, what is the saying about mushrooms? Keep them in the dark and feed them bullshit. That's Kate in this
Right.
movie. Slightly reminded me, by the way, of Thunderheart with the Val Kilmer character. You know, there's a similarity in the characters there.
Thunderheart?
Where Thunderheart, you know, oh come
I
on,
don't,
you know Thunderheart.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, we're gonna fix that. Thunderheart is it's an FBI investigation on an Indian reservation, and the idea is, and it's Chris Cooper is the agent in charge. The idea is that the treaty between the U.S. and the Native Americans is that, you know, if you send the FBI into our land, you want, like, one of the agents has to be a Native American, right?
Uh-huh.
And the idea, which I think is ingenious because it's insulting and realistic and tragic, like all at the same time, is like Val Kilmer's character, who's our protagonist, he's like 1/16 fucking Native American. And so he's literally just being brought in as, like red washing, I guess you would call it.
Okay.
And so
I vaguely remember this movie. I think I saw this when I was a kid. Was there like a shot where a guy was handcuffed and jumps over the handcuffs? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember this movie.
It's a good one. I like it a lot. But yeah, super similar situation. Kate's just, being brought in here just as like a technicality. She's not actually meant to do anything. But so there's going to be some steps, and we'll see like how everything plays out. We'll talk about that. But just to set it up, not to work it all from the back to the beginning, but just to remind ourselves what the ultimate goal is, like the win condition, you might say, for Brolin, for Matt, is to get Alejandro within shooting distance of a certain Mexican cartel heavyweight named Alarcon. So everything that they do, I want to analyze based on like, is this the proper way to get that job done?
Oh yeah. So you discussed Kate kind of just being brought in as a technicality. We're not shown that kind of till later. And what's the opening scene is the raid on the house, and like we discussed earlier, she's in the kidnapping unit, and they raid this house, and there's like nothing in the house but like a shotgun blast to the wall from one of the guys they raided opens up, and they realize there's just dead bodies in the walls of the entire house. So already the film starts out like super, super like shock value, like, hey, this is real life type of thing. But that's how she gets recruited, is her experience dealing with the cartels. And that's where we get that FBI office scene where Berlin's in his sandals.
Now hold on though. She doesn't actually have any direct knowledge or experience with the cartels.
Oh, right. She's just dealing with kidnapping and like trafficking, right? But this particular event kind of is involved with the cartels. So that's I think that's what makes her the perfect candidate to Brolin, is because she's so clueless. And as we find out later, that she's only brought in because the CIA can't operate within the borders without a domestic agency present. So that I think is what makes her attractive to Brolin. Is here's like like kind of a foot soldier for the FBI that has one little tiny experience with the cartel, and we now kind of have paperwork reasoning to bring her in on the mission, and it's perfect because she doesn't know what's going on, and we're just going to have her there so we could legally do what we need to do. Which, by the way, I made my number 2 best tradecraft, and I think that made your what was that, number 1 for you?
Yeah, it is my best tradecraft. Just the whole shell game of basically doing the Thunderheart thing of having a paper, an on paper excuse to do the shit they want to do.
Right.
Yeah, I like it as a concept. I'm gonna quibble in the specifics as we go along, but as a concept, that's my number one best.
Yeah, and this would have been my number two. Oh, well, part of my number two best tradecraft about this is not just using her for the technicality, but him recruiting her. She kind of has a little bit of minus spy points, even though she's not a spy. But when she's like, "Are we going to get the guys that did this?" Because there were 2 officers killed in the raid where they found all the bodies. And that kind of tells Brolin exactly what he needs to, like, which button to push to get her to volunteer, because she has to volunteer for this. So he's doing really good by not showing his cards to her, as in, we need you. He's more playing it as in, this is an opportunity for you. And by her saying, are we going to get the guys responsible for this? She's given him the button to push, and he pushes it. And he says, we're going to get the real guys responsible for this. And that definitely made my number 2 best tradecraft. But this leads into my number 1 best tradecraft later on in the film. I think it was Kaluya's character and her are like still in the dark a little bit, and they're really irritated. So they threaten to walk, right? And Brolin has to and he's chewing his gum, still playing it off like there's no big deal. Super calm, and he tells this story about, we're using this situation to, like back in A Most Wanted Man, we're going to take the little fish to catch the big fish. So Diaz, we're not going to go arrest him and catch him. We're going to use him to lead him to the boss. Even though there's a whole nother large network of stories behind this objective, he was able to basically homogenize it down into this one little statement. So, I definitely give my best number 2 and best number 1 tradecraft to Brolin's character.
I like too that the questions involved, soft. It's kind of an interview, even though she doesn't quite know that it's an interview.
Right.
The questions involve, include are you married? Do you have kids? Because of, I don't know if it's ever stated or shown, but it's strongly implied in the movie. And it's my understanding that that's one of the big tactics, that the cartels use to terrorize people is, it's not just you that's going to have a problem if you go against us. It's your loved ones. They'll mercilessly go after them. So you don't want someone that's got kids. You don't want someone that's married. That's also a question that when Alejandro is later in the movie, when he's interviewing the different illegal immigrants, that's also something he asks them, do you have kids? And I don't think it's explicit, but if someone says they have kids, okay, you move on to someone else. This is not a person you want someone with no ties.
Right. They don't have much to lose other than themselves, right? The stakes aren't as big for the single, no kids, no wife, no spouse, no family type of situation.
Right. And if you're bringing someone into the operation on any level, that's just, especially if you know the cartel's tactics, that becomes a liability. That's a level of pressure that could be leveled against them. And you might not know about it, as the director of the operation.
Absolutely. That's a great
compromised
point.
If someone calls them up and threatens their kids and says, you can't tell your boss about this situation or your kids are going to die. Well, then they're not going to tell you.
Right. Exactly.
Kind of stuff. I also liked that he rejects Reggie. Now, Reggie is what's his name? Kaluya? Daniel?
Yeah, Daniel Kaluya.
Yeah, his character's name is Reggie. And when they're going through his stuff, it comes up that he has a law degree. And Matt says, no lawyers on this train, which is a nice little throwaway line.
Yeah.
That I only caught, like on a fourth, fifth time through the movie, paying close attention. But yeah, they don't. It implies that they don't need anyone that's gonna start quibbling about their methodology.
Even though
And stuff.
Alejandro was an attorney, wasn't he?
That's right. That's right. Well, suppose okay. Let's talk about that.
Right.
Do you think? Okay. Do you think he really was a prosecutor in Juarez? That's what he says.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but that is what he says. He doesn't have an attorney feel to him. He's kind of a fucking badass, right?
Yeah. Well, Oscar, the character he plays in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was a lawyer.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and I'm cool. I'm cool sitting with the. I mean, I am totally cool with not knowing and the movie not ever clarifying. But I guess if we take him, or sort of, if we take him at his word, he was a
Mhm.
prosecutor in Juarez. Probably that's why the cartels got mad at him, and so they killed his wife, killed his daughter, and then he went and became a hitman for the Colombians, for a rival cartel. That character path seems really iffy to me.
Yeah.
So I'm never really sure if like him being a prosecutor in Juarez is his actual origin story. I I believe, I don't know. That just seems weird. How is he so badass? Like,
No idea. But every time he's on screen, you're just like, wow, yeah, what a badass.
right. But no, I mean, on a technical side, like, how is he? Because he's so proficient with his weapons. Like, he's such a like he is the Sicario. He's
Right.
the lethal guy. He's the one that knocks. You know.
Yeah.
Um, where did he? In between being a prosecutor, or I don't know, maybe he had maybe he was spec. I don't know, spec ops. And some people go from the military into fields like being a lawyer.
Mhm. That's
But
true.
it just would seem really weird that he was just this lawyer. His family got killed, and then he turns into what's that guy from Taken?
Oh, Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it turns into this Liam Neeson motherfucker, like out of the blue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's all a little iffy to me. Um, More on Alejandro. There's okay. Again, back to the objective is just take out Alarcon.
Mhm.
That's the job. It's in Mexico, so you can't just drone strike him. Well, also you don't know where he is exactly. Um, you can't just drone strike him. You can't just send in a U.S. hit team. You got to find someone like Alejandro who's got nothing to lose that'll pull the trigger for you.
Right.
Medellin is a weird one for me. It's not super clear in the movie, but definitely very clear in the original script that Medellin is Alejandro's nickname.
Oh.
Right.
Oh. So the whole Brolin explanation. So that makes more sense for the shot with the Silvano, the police officer, when he says Medellin. Well, I guess the Brolin story would be covering for the fact that that's his code name. But this. Okay, that's really confusing. Okay, so you're
We're
saying
going
in
to
the
talk about it.
script. Okay, all right, we'll chat about it in a little bit.
No, right now. No, yeah, no,
Oh,
we're going to
okay,
talk about it right now.
okay.
So Medellin as a nickname. So what's Medellin? Let me tell you that.
Hmm.
Medellin is okay. You know the name. Everyone knows the name Pablo Escobar.
Yes.
Medellin was the name of his cartel. It
Oh.
is a city in Colombia, and it's the name of his cartel. It's the most powerful drug cartel in history.
Uh-huh.
Um, Ran from 1972 to 1993. It's been featured in a lot of movies and TV shows. The TV show Narcos that's out there somewhere running right now, that's about them, etc. So that's who they were. Now, again, ran till 1993. They no longer exist. They haven't existed for a very long time by the time of this movie. So, why would he have that nickname?
Right.
And there's also the fact that when Kate asks Matt what is Medellin, he says, he doesn't say that it's the name of a cartel. And by the way, also, I think she should know this, but he explains it to her anyways, or sort of explains it in a weird way. He says, it refers to a time. It refers to a time when one group controlled every aspect of the drug trade, providing a measure of order that we could control. And what you saw there was Alejandro working toward returning that order. So maybe if he's working for the Colombians, maybe he has this name because he knows that's the name that would strike fear, like because it has a history. Trust me, everyone in the Mexican cartels knows the significance of Medellin.
Right.
But I guess that's why he would have that nickname, but it doesn't make sense to me that that's a name that like Brolin would have assigned to him or something, because like, don't name your shit after like your actual objectives or something.
Right.
Like it's yeah. That part is stupid. Also, okay, and even if El Medellin is his nickname, I get why Guillermo would recognize him as such, but why would Silvio? Like, Silvio is just like this super low level cop. Like, somebody just comes out of the darkness with a gun pointed at you, and you're like, Medellin?
Right? Yeah. He's just kind of a cop that was kind of pressured to do what he did. Unless, like, because Kate does say Alejandro's working for the Colombia cartel. Maybe like that whole trade that was going on, they knew that connection of him. But you're right. I don't understand why Silvio would know that name.
Right. So
when the truth does kind of come out for Kate, though, her immediate reaction, I mean, she did get shot at, like, wearing Kevlar, but like that shit knocks you out, and then she just got beat the fuck up by Brolin. So I understand why she's upset and might not be thinking clearly, but I would think by this point she would have learned not to just talk. And she flat out says, I am going to go tell everyone what you did. And she's in the middle of fucking nowhere, surrounded by like her homies there, but like that's the two of them against like what was it, like 20 something like heavily trained special forces, Delta Force guys. And she's gonna be like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna go and tell everybody. Like, she could easily just get shot by Brolin there and then like buried in the desert and no one would ever know. Or he could just shoot her there and just be like, yeah, she got shot in the process. There was all those cartel guys' guns. He could just shoot him with one of that. It was just, that made my number one worst tradecraft. Like, why would you do that? Like, at this point, she should have woken up to the fact that, like, this is not, like, the group you start talking to and watch what you say type of thing. And I thought it was silly.
I don't know. The Medellin thing bugs me because it just feels very flimsy and, like, just, I don't know. Like, the script, I think the script is cheating a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Yeah.
To even get her to the conclusion that Alejandro works for the Colombians.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a little confusing. I don't even know why she thought that.
Maybe it's some of the stuff. Maybe it's some of the stuff of Alejandro's lines that disappeared from the script. Right. But little nuggets were still left there that kind of connect. But I don't know. I just think something was taken out of the script, and I can feel its missingness to get her to have that conclusion. But regardless of that, we, the audience, we can definitely suss out that one way or the other, it's clear that the CIA believes, or at least wants to believe, that the drug wars in Mexico and South America will be more containable if we return to something like the Medellin era.
Mm-hmm.
That Matt, again, I guess he believes it, or at least, like I said, he wants to believe that it would be better if we return to that era, so that the rationale is weird too. Like the logic of the idea that things would be more containable and better if there was just one faction that was running all the drug trade.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's debatable. And also, like, the CIA's rationale for it. Like, what does the CIA hope to, like, what's the benefit they get from it if there is one group in control and there's a lot less violence? Is it so that there will be less drug shipments to the U.S.? I don't think so.
Right.
Is it to just reduce the human suffering that's going on? I've never really thought of the CIA as having that as their number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it to just maintain pressure against leftist revolutionary groups in South America, which does feel like CIA thinking, at least Cold War CIA thinking. Of course, by 2015, they should have like aged out of that, grown out of that, and into something else. But it's also, I wouldn't be ultra surprised to find out that the CIA is still like hamstrung by Cold War thinking, by outdated Cold War thinking. Whether or not they are, I think they possibly could be, and I think this movie definitely feels like this movie thinks that they are.
Right. The rationale that he's using reminds me of a filler episode of Battlestar Galactica, where they found some like ship that was off the radar, and I think it was Adama's son, Apollo or whatever, goes on the ship, and it's like a black market area where they have like drugs and gambling and prostitution. And I think it was originally because he found like child trafficking. Um, but I guess the end of the episode's like I guess lesson was like you can't get rid of the black market, but if you know where it is, you can manage it a little bit, and so I think that's the rationale behind that. But I think you're right. Like, why is the CIA involved in this and not the DEA? Like, this would be like a job for the DEA if they're trying to manage drug trafficking, right? So that leaves me scratching my head as much as you are. Like, what is it that the CIA's goal actually is? Like, it's not just to take out that guy, right?
Well, we know that's their goal on paper. That's their win condition in the movie. But what does it get them, or what do they think it gets them, is left unclear and leaves me scratching a big hole in my head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm super confused. And so the revolutionary thing wasn't in the movie, so that doesn't make sense, right? But you're right. Maybe that's what the movie wants. I don't know. I think the overall theme of the film is this kind of, you always hear this when people talk about this deep, dark shit that exists that we don't see in mainstream media or in like our cozy hammock of the United States, like being an American, where like we don't even know like this darkness is around. They always bring up like the old days where wars meant something and they weren't like, Vietnamers, and these days we don't have that cut and dry, we got to kill the Nazis. We got to stop the Nazis from taking over the world type of, now there's like a bajillion competing objectives, and there's that scene with Kate where she like after Well, I'll talk a little bit more about the bank raid later, but she goes back to her supervisors after that raid, be like, "Yo, we got this shit," and her supervisors is like, "What do you want?" Like, you gotta understand, guys like Matt are brought in specifically so we can get more arrests. Like, it's I think that's the overall theme of the film, and so that's like you. I'm still left scratching my head, like, why is the CIA involved and what they get out of it? But I think the main point going on in this film is there's these overwhelmingly competing interests that need to be met, and the only way to get anything done is to get a little bit done, like throw the one starfish back into the ocean that's like on the beach type of thing. Like, at least we can help a little bit. You're never going to get rid of the drug trade, right? It's just not going to happen.
Right. Well, what I like about this movie is the feel I get. Like, I feel like this is a movie that has an incredibly strong story, maybe not such a great plot, if you scratch around it. But I mean, the story of the only way we can take out a bad guy is to use another bad guy against them,
Right.
and that instead of going in there and like actually cleaning a house or winning the war, you're just picking fucking sides. You're
Right.
just picking winners and losers, which seems to
Right.
be the thing. Like, that's like the original sin of the CIA, that I just really hate to think of the idea that we're still doing that in 2015, or that
Right.
Colombia is as important to us now to keep, leftist revolutionary groups down in Colombia as it was during the Cold War. I mean,
Right.
even then, like, maybe it wasn't a great idea. In 2015, it seems like completely antiquated. Like, I feel like I'm watching the CIA fight a very old war, but on a very new and shiny and cool looking battlefield.
Right.
Is
That's an interesting way to. Yeah. No. That's a good point. But it's still really unclear in the movie what they were going with. But yeah, you're right. That
okay. Well,
something's
we'll
off
leave.
about it.
I think we can set aside our questions about the broader geopolitical implications
Right.
of what's going on here. Again, but we know what their win condition is, and we're gonna talk about more about how they're gonna proceed toward that. So yeah, Alarcon's our target. By the way, he's only the number 3 guy in the Sonora cartel. So also, I don't see how the Colombians immediately benefit from this. It just seems like the number 4 guy would now just move up, and nothing would really change.
Right.
But in the context of this movie, it's important that we know that Alarcon has 2 cousins. They are Guillermo and Manuel Diaz. And Diaz is very high up in the Sonora cartel, and they think, and we have no reason to disbelieve, he's the number 1 Sonoran cartel guy that works in the U.S. He works this side of the border.
Oh, okay.
So Guillermo and Diaz, then, of course, are brothers, both cousins to Alarcon. Manuel, I guess, Diaz, they can't just go after for whatever reason. Well, I mean, I guess he just got his ducks in a row. But Guillermo's another story. Guillermo's somewhere in the cartel structure, presumably pretty high up, but not as high as Diaz. Definitely not as high as Alarcon. And somebody has managed to grab up Guillermo in Juarez. Who did it? I guess it's that Mexican law enforcement agency that, again, like, wasn't specified. I know this. It has to have been them because they're holding him at a federal courthouse in Juarez, and that the Mexican police will provide escort for the extraction. And there was that line of, like, it must have been really hard to keep him alive long enough for us to come get him. This is the first big, like, thriller part of the movie. The going into Juarez and coming out with Guillermo. We got, like, the convoy with the SUVs. Got, fucking Mexican police with goddamn machine guns.
They had like
on their
50
trucks.
cows. Yeah. Actually, This is for real. I went on a cruise to Ensenada, and even at the touristy Ensenada spot, there was like camouflaged like pickups with 50 cals on the back. So yeah, it's not that like far off to believe that's how they roll over in Juarez. Like 10 fucking pickups with 50 cals.
I hope the depiction of Juarez is overinflated in this movie. I dearly hope these people aren't living in this kind of terrorist fucking state controlled nightmare. It's certainly true that like the movie has a lot of shots like looking over the border into Mexico where it looks like, the movie is making you think like you're looking into fucking Mordor,
Right.
with
Yeah.
that
From what I've
super
been told,
creepy
it's pretty
doom
accurate.
music. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't know. And the arrangement was never really made clear, but somehow like Mexican law enforcement got this guy. They're making a deal with the Americans, at least the American military. I don't know if the Mexicans know that they're working with the CIA. They might. That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah.
But this is some kind of example of like extraordinary, or let's see, yeah, I guess we call it extraordinary rendition. Because Mexico and the U.S., I mean, we have an extradition treaty, but
Right.
we're not moving Guillermo across the border using that normal means. This is a super hush hush weird special op, like going in getting him. I mean, they got the whole convoy. Just the fact of it's one of those situations where you don't need to see the enemy. You
Right.
just need to see what the good guy, how tooled up the good guys are to know what that tells you as the audience what the threat is,
Right.
But I don't. Okay, like, and I'll come back every once in a while and say this question about Kate needing to be involved. We know that the movie is telling us she's there as paperwork cover. They've got the U.S. Marshals with them. They've got Delta Force.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why isn't that enough?
Oh, for the federal. Oh, that's right.
It confuses me, but I don't know all the details of like the law
Right.
involved. So I just take the movie at its word. But again, continue to scratch that big hole on the side of my head. It's also weird. Okay, so Kate has some quibbles before she goes. Matt says, "Well, hey, you don't have to go." And then when she complains about it afterwards, he reminds her, like, "I said you didn't have to go." Well, if she didn't have to go, like, how necessary is she? I start getting a little confused here.
Right.
This is a movie I don't enjoy over analyzing this movie because I think it starts falling apart plot wise, and that annoys me because I love the movie. I still love the movie.
Yeah.
But I wish I hadn't analyzed it this closely.
Right? Because now it's going to bug you every time you watch it.
It's
trying to find the breadcrumbs.
kind of.
One thing that did bug me about it, if you have this huge, like, amalgam of agencies and like heavy hitters that are like, yeah, we're here to do business. The caravan leaving Mexico to get across the border gets stuck in traffic, which played for a great scene. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat watching that, where they're stuck in traffic and they're clocking everybody in the traffic with guns.
It's so fucking
And they
good.
have to. Oh, it was so fucking cool. Yeah, but like, I would like to think that this like group of just like super elite teams would have planned out ahead of time a better route, or at least like worked with someone to clear the way, or maybe taken a dirt road or something. These are all like big agencies, right? And the U.S. isn't going to keep them out of the border if they know that they're bringing this guy in. This is an extradition, right? So I would, or there'd be like an airlift. You know what I mean? I, I don't know, but regardless, it's set up for a really really intense, like thrilling scene. But I had to mark it as my number three worst tradecraft is the caravan like going down the normal border crossing and getting stuck in traffic. Like why even take that route?
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll take that. Yeah. The cartel doesn't get any prizes from me for their like late attempt to stop Guillermo from being taken back across to the U.S. side. I think it was I think their ambush got my worst tradecraft, number one of the film. I guess the border, like, it seems like just kind of slapped together at the last minute kind of situation. And I mean, the guys in the cars are so fucking obvious, and that's my biggest complaint.
Yeah.
You know, like even that one tattooed guy. I mean, I like the fact that he looks like he's sleeping, but come on, like put that guy in the back seat. You know,
Right.
put the guy that is like screaming gangster tattoos all over his body and his face and his throat and everything. Like that guy doesn't need to be the public face of your ambush team.
Right. Yeah.
Like in that whole like short gunfight, it's mostly tension. And then there's a very short gunfight, which goes predictably bad for the Sonorans because they're completely fucking outgunned.
Right.
They did have one cop, or at least one cartel guy in a cop uniform. And what does he do? He goes for a shot at Kate.
Yeah.
For no reason that I can think of except to, flip Kate out and give her an opportunity to shoot someone and to heighten her tension. If you got, like, what you need, Sonoran cartel, you need, like, some guys with some 50 cals for this job.
Right.
Yeah. Pay some of those motherfuckers. Pay those guys to like derail the convoy to a place where the field is in your favor. But they get back. I noted that they're holding him on a military base. That's Guillermo I'm talking about. We don't get to find out exactly what information he gives up, but we're guessing it's the exact location of the tunnel. Well, not the exact location of the tunnel, but the fact that it's near Tucson. We have no idea what else they might have learned from him. So the tunnel is going to be our next like big plot point for the operation.
That whole interrogation was kind of weird for me. With
talk about it.
With Alejandro just sticking his dick in the guy's face. Well, not literally. He just kind of like, because the guy's like cuffed up and tied up to a chair, and Guillermo just brings this giant jug, like those like office water jugs, and then he like straddles one of his legs and just puts his crotch in his face, and then we don't see the beating or the torture or the interrogation. It just kind of cuts to like a drain and a giant jug of water. And then we later found out that he gave up some information. But I don't know. I guess he was just trying to make him uncomfortable. I mean, I know like proximity is important in like an interrogation, but I'm not sure what that was about. I don't know if that's supposed to be something. But he just like walks up and like sticks his like crotch in his face. You got anything on that?
Not really. I mean, waterboarding is what's implied, afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
And, tunnel. Okay, great. A tunnel. Why is the tunnel important? I don't get it. on a high intellectual level. If you're gonna
Is
go
this the
into
tunnel where the immigrants they find? Or is this
yeah
the tunnel later in the
yeah
film?
yeah the tunnel later in the film that they use to basically the tunnel that they use to squeak Alejandro through so that he can go get Alarcon. Um, I don't understand why they couldn't just cross the border. Like, why do they need the tunnel?
Oh, they needed to know where Diaz goes through. Because remember, they're trying to follow Diaz to his boss. And that's the tunnel he uses to get across the border, right?
Is it? That's my question to you. We know that when they get through the tunnel, then Diaz is in a car nearby on the other side of the tunnel. That's true. Did he go through the tunnel? Why doesn't he fly?
Well, he's probably on a watch list, and he'd probably get hit by.
Okay.
Well, that's a good. Well, no, that's a good point. You would think that. I mean, because they mentioned he had like a bajillion like legitimate businesses, so he should just be able to fly over, right?
Right. I mean, if he's untouchable here in the US, why would he need to be sneaking across through the tunnel? And we didn't see him go through the tunnel. We don't know how Diaz got across the border. We just know that we just know that Alejandro gets through the tunnel at the right time to be kind of within a couple miles of wherever Diaz is driving his car on his way to see Alarcon. We're skipping ahead a little bit about why Diaz is going to see Alarcon, but I guess I'm just bringing it up now. This timing thing of the importance of the tunnel, it kind of falls apart in my head the more I think about it. Like, if you wanted to follow Diaz, I mean, once, like, even when Diaz is in Mexico on the highway where Alejandro ends up catching up with him, they've got like air support or surveillance or something. Like, they can see his car.
Right.
So why did they have to go through the tunnel? I never understood it.
Maybe they needed to sneak it because remember he gets in the cop car with Silvio, right? So maybe they needed to sneak through the tunnel so that the cartel doesn't know that they're on to him. Because remember, he still has to get into the house past all those guys. Maybe?
That's true, but so why go through the place where you know they have a lot of men and gunmen? Like, why not just fucking cross the border? Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just walk across.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I don't know. Good, great story, shaky plot. I guess now, I mean, there's other things that add up to it, but I guess now that I'll just call it like this is my number 2 worst tradecraft. Like, this plan is just shaky. I don't. It doesn't add up. At least it's not shown to add up to me in the movie. Back to the movie's logic, right? We'll go back and follow the movie's logic again. The movie wants us to think the tunnel's important. The tunnel's the only way they can get across. The tunnel's the only way they can intercept Diaz as he's going back to talk to Alarcon. Now, why is Diaz going back to talk to Alarcon? And how do we know that he's going to go back and talk to Alarcon? Well, Matt's got a plan for this, right?
They raid this bank and catch this woman that's been delivering money to deposit to like an account. And they catch her, they get some info. And the idea is they're gonna like take his money, which is gonna piss him off, and now he has to go see the boss, right? Now when they get the lady, Brolin's yelling at Kate, "Don't go in the bank, don't go in the bank, don't go in the." She went in the bank because she's like, looking at all this money, she, as an FBI agent, like as a law enforcement in general, they're trained to try and
this is evidence.
this is evidence. We can build a case on this. This is prosecutable, right? So she runs into the bank to go talk to the bank manager and go through all these like transactions and shit. She gets all this documentation, and runs to her supervisor. And we talked about this earlier. She's like, "We could build a case. This is a total like clear cut case." And her supervisor's like, "Look, people like Matt are brought in specifically so that we could get more arrests. There's no reason to build this case. We're trying to get Diaz to get us a bigger fish." Anyway, so that's more of like the wow, everything's really screwed up, and we're kind of dancing with the devil a little bit. Anyway, she's like, "I got to get a drink." She goes out to drink with her buddy Daniel Kaluuya's character, and there's like a cop at the bar that's like eyeing her. It looks like he's kind of interested in her. But apparently Daniel and him know each other, I guess from War Days or something. And he introduces her to Kate, and they hit it off. And then they're going to go fuck Kate and the Phoenix police officer. Back at her place, she realizes something on the coffee table. And I actually had to go double check this to figure out how she figured this out. But when they caught the lady making the deposits, in her bag, there were like giant fat rolls of cash. And what's keeping them in the roll is like this band. It reminded me, I mean, it was a different color, but it reminded me of those old Lance Armstrong bracelets people used to get, those like plastic, those rubbery ones. But it was more like a kind of like a, I don't know, pink, white, and bluish, like kind of tie-dye look. And she spots that on the coffee table and realizes he's been working with the cartels. And crazy fight ensues. Of course, Alejandra's been watching her the whole time because she is the one that ran into the bank, and they know why he shouldn't have ran into the bank, because she was going to be on surveillance and all kinds of people would see her. Anyway, long story short, he gets beat up. They get him out. They start questioning him. They get more information. But I wanted to mark this as my number 3 best tradecraft, but also my number 2 worst tradecraft. The number 3 best tradecraft is the Phoenix police officer figuring out he could sleep with her. How he figured out she would be in that bar is beyond me, unless he's been tailing her the entire time. But he was already in the...
I think as soon as she was spotted in the bank, just her picture went out to everyone that they knew in the area. I mean, that's the only way it makes sense to me.
Yeah. But his capacity to like woo her and flirt with her and like convince her to take him back to, or go back to his place or whoever's place it was. So I wanted to mark that as my number 3 best, but my number 3 worst tradecraft. Why the fuck did he have the band in his pocket? If you're going to be running around, you don't want the evidence that you were taking money from the cartel. If this is something they do with their rolled up money, especially when everybody knew she was FBI, because if she's going to kick down the bank's door, she's going to flash her badge, right? I think it was a bad idea. So that's my number 2 worst tradecraft.
Yeah, it's pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
Of course, Alejandro was, smart enough to know that just the fact that she'd gone into the bank, he knew that they would make a move on her. And so that's why he's doing his guardian angel deal on her.
Well, also running surveillance so they could get him and get information, right? Because she was like, "You used me." And he was like, "Well, we didn't plan this out. You're the one that ran into the bank."
So the fact that you keep referring to Ted, that's the Phoenix police officer, as such, tells me that you never watched The Walking Dead, because John Bernthal was a very major character in the first couple seasons.
I'm
of
sorry,
that show.
I have not watched The Walking Dead. Please don't shoot me, everybody.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And he also got to, which I haven't watched myself, but I think it's good casting. He's the Punisher in the.
Oh
in
shit,
the
he's the new
Marvel.
Punisher.
Yes,
That
that's
is
that guy.
him.
Yep.
Oh my god, wow. I didn't even recognize him. I mean, he was kind of scrawny in this film, so he bulked the fuck up for the Punisher. Wow. Oh, good catch.
Right. Yeah. I just yeah, it goes back to my primary, I don't want to say thesis, but feel of this movie as I'm going through it. Like story wise, it's great. Execution, it's great. The plot just doesn't really fucking work for me. I know I already talked about this too with the tunnel situation. So also, okay, there to get the specific location of the tunnel, Matt basically, well, I don't know, what do we call them now, these assholes, what do we call the guys that are in charge of fucking with illegal immigrants?
Oh, ICE.
As ICE. Yeah.
ICE is like the current agency. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if they were prominent in 2015. By the way, they've been getting some really bad press lately, like a
I
lot
don't think
of
they've ever had good press. I think they're competing with ATF for worst press possible. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but just recently, like this week, I think a lot of law enforcement agencies, it's come out, have said like we don't want to work with ICE anymore. Like anybody finds out that we're working with ICE, and all of a sudden, all our leads go fucking cold. Everyone stops talking to us, and like we
Yeah.
can't do our fucking jobs because ICE are just such fucking assholes.
You know what I heard? They were going on a hiring spree. This might be the reason. They loosened up their requirements during. They went on
Oh
some like
God.
massive hiring. I don't know, like what 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. I don't
Mm,
remember what it was, but I remember seeing like ads for it everywhere, and
right.
they were pretty much taking anybody short of a felony. From what I understand, I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I was hearing. And there were some articles like in the press about like hey, get a job with ICE, like that they were pretty, yeah. So that might be why there's problems, that they're kind of not using a lot of discretion with their hires back then.
Yeah, I strongly believe that. So to get the specific location of the tunnel, which is it's good tradecraft, very good tradecraft. Matt is going to talk to, I don't know, this guy that's, I don't know if he's ICE, if he's Homeland Security or whatever, but basically a guy that has like, 7 bus loads of people that they've caught trying to cross the border. In this I don't know what they have them in. It's not I don't know. It's not exact. It's like a warehouse or something. You know what I'm talking
Like
about, right? Where they got
yeah,
all the
yeah,
people
yeah.
sitting on the ground.
Yeah, it looks like kind of like a hangar, but they have all of these like police SUVs. So I presume it's like a headquarters for immigration or something. But yeah, it's got like a look of a hangar, and there's like tour buses in the
It's some kind of
background.
yeah. What it is, it's some kind of whatever the like the physical locale would be called. What it is in essence, it's like a clearinghouse
Uh,
for all the people that they've caught trying to cross the border in Arizona. And who knows what kind of time frame we're talking about? Is this all the people that tried to cross just today? That'd be funny. Arrested Development. I understand you watched some of it, but not
oh, I
necessarily
watched the
all.
whole thing.
Oh, okay, great. Do you remember all the Arrested Development had all those really funny like shit going on in the background kind of
Yeah,
jokes? And like
yeah.
anytime they were like, doing any scene around the Mexican border, every once in a while in the background, you would just see some dude like just run and like jump over the wall.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
So yeah, I don't think they caught all these people like today. Maybe it's like the week's catch. It's still a lot of people.
Yeah.
But something I noticed is that like Matt and the Homeland Security guy are on total like first name speaking terms. When Matt shows up, the guy's like, "Hey, what the hell, man? You got me out here at like 4 a.m. What's up?" And which tells me that Matt does this kind of operation like all the time.
Right.
Like this isn't his this CIA operation that he's running is not something that has just been cooked up for this one situation, but that he has a constant and strong relationship, first name basis with the kind of people that can hook him up with the opportunity to interrogate these kind of people.
I'd like to hope so. I'd like to hope that CIA like has relationships with all these departments, especially if they're dealing with stuff like cross borders or whatever. But yeah, they are kind of like buddy buddy, aren't they?
Yeah. So again, like it just shows that this is not a one-off operation. This is a part of a larger ongoing set of operations that Matt is running involving the Mexican border.
Yeah. One of the things I liked about this, before this, before Kate gets involved, starting from the first time she gets involved throughout the rest of the film, she starts bumming cigarettes from people because it's getting
that.
more and more anxious. She's like, I think she said you got another one of those like 3 times up until that one point where you see her with an actual pack. Because she wasn't smoking before, but this whole experience has led her into smoking.
Yeah, Reggie asks her. He says, "Oh, they got you smoking again, huh?"
Yeah. Yeah. I think when they got to this like clearinghouse thing, that was the first thing she asked the guy that Matt has a relationship with. Like, do you have another one of those? Like that, yeah. I thought that was.
I think the first one she bumps is at the army base.
Yeah, when they first come across the border, like when she came back from Juarez. Yeah.
Right. So I do like and it was close. I don't think it quite made yeah, it was close to making one of my top tradecraft things, but interrogating these guys, these border crossers. I don't know what the term I should use for them. But these people that know the border to find out the location of the tunnel. That's good tradecraft, and I appreciate it. So again though, like, so what the purpose, right? The purpose of squeezing Diaz's money was to cause him to have to go to see Alarcon. I get it, and I like it. What I don't like, and I feel like I'm having to circle back to something I talked about before, but I just want to get all my cards out on the table. I get it. You could squeeze him until he has to go back. How do you know when enough is enough? How do you know that he actually got the call? How do you know that he's on his way? How do you know what route he's going to take, on what day, at what hour? Why the fuck is he driving himself alone? Hey, right?
That's a really good point. Yeah. Well, presumably they'd have him on surveillance, but that's a good, like, why is he driving himself? That's a really, really good point.
If they have him on this tight of surveillance, I don't think they need the tunnel. And even if they do need the tunnel, how do you time it this well? And how do you luck out? Like, okay, I guess you're assuming there will be a car that Alejandro could steal on the other side of the tunnel. It happens to be there is a car. It's Silvio's car. Silvio has just okay. So Silvio's on the Mexican side. He's bringing drugs to the tunnel so that they can bring them over into the U.S. side. Here's another one, which makes absolutely no sense. All right, I'm Silvio, right? I've shown up at the regular place. My job is to show up here and unload drugs out of my police car in for the tunnel. I hear gunfire coming from up the tunnel. What do? I start unloading the drugs faster out of my car. No!
Yeah.
Put the drugs back into the car and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh wait, that's why they need the tunnel, because they kept bringing up that they found that they got the information about the tunnel. Diaz, I'm presuming he used the tunnel. We just saw that footage of him leaving his house in that same Mercedes. I presume because that, like, I don't know, what, that warehouse at the other side of the tunnel where they had cars and drugs and boxes and containers and shit.
Sure. Yeah.
I presume there's another blue Mercedes there for him. So we don't get shown this, but presumably Diaz goes through the tunnel, gets his other blue Mercedes, and starts driving down the road. And then because they know he's using the tunnel, they can go through the tunnel and get another car and chase him down. And there just happens to be a police officer there, which I guess they know how that transaction works, that they would need an officer to help unload or carry or whatever.
Then catch him on this side of the tunnel. I don't know. If you have such good eyes on Diaz, I just intercepting him is just so fucking, it's just so whack. And it's
well, they still got to find out where his boss is. Alarcon.
Yeah.
Alarcon. Yeah. They don't know where he is what the movie's telling us. And by following him through the tunnel and down the highway, they're going to find out where Alarcon is.
Yeah, I guess I don't see why they waited until he went through the tunnel. And we don't know if he went through the tunnel.
Right.
But it's just all weird. Like the way Alejandro gets in, it's like just part and parcel of this movie. It all looks really good and just doesn't, I can't write it out on paper in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alejandro, I mean, Silvio is like, is a gift to him. You got a police car, and a dirty cop that you can manipulate into making the stop. Flash your lights. Have him get out again. Why the fuck are you driving alone? Why don't you have a fucking convoy? I don't know. We see, and it's, I guess the I guess it's, you call it the climax of the movie, Alejandro getting into Alarcon's domicile, his Riviera, whatever you want to call it.
His mansion, his estate.
Yeah. And making the kill. I like it as an audience member, just not so much as an analyst. Like there's too many things, too many dominoes just seem to have like dropped conveniently into the Team USA's hands that they couldn't have foreseen and couldn't have planned in advance.
Oh yeah.
And
a lot fell into their lap.
Yeah. And then I could get out of this movie, and that's my major quibbles, and I'm ready to talk about star rating and stuff. But I wonder if I guess our last piece of business is possibly the Alejandro showing up at Kate's place and forcing her at gunpoint to sign a document that says everything they did was
according to the book.
Right.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I think this was more of a storytelling choice to kind of show us like how fucked up shit is. Um, I I don't know why Alejandro needs the paper signed. I know why Matt needs the paper signed.
Right. That's one of the
Um,
thoughts that crossed my mind. Like
yeah.
Alejandro, his I mean, we know his motivation. His motivation is revenge. He's got it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, what? How does it benefit him to make this like a big dick play against Kate? I don't think it's good. I think maybe. I mean, maybe it's not so much the paper. This is one thought that occurs to me. Maybe it's not so much the signature on the paper itself, but it's the act of forcing her to sign
Hmm.
is, you know, kind of like a 1984 kind of thing. Like
Oh yeah.
it's it's not it's not really the paper. The paper is not as important as the fact that we made you do it and now you have to live with that
Oh,
kind of
that's
thing.
probably it might be a insurance policy because if she signed the paper, she can't go and because she was like, "I'm going to tell everybody what you did to Brolin." She can't do that now because she signed the paper saying that everything was kosher. So maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, but I
So I
mean,
don't know why Ellen.
practically
Yeah.
speaking, I feel like I could just go to my boss and say, "Hey, that motherfucking Puerto Rican showed up at my place, put a gun in my face, and told me I had to sign this, but I signed it under duress. Fuck that."
Yeah.
But again, this movie just seems to be operating more on a story level, and so I think it's like just like the act of submission, the act of
Yeah. Yeah.
complicity, that it's a more of a psychological thing that they're
Yeah.
accomplishing here.
And he's like,
Um,
"You're not a." He's like, "Go move to a small town. You're not a wolf, and this is a country of wolves now, or something."
sure. Here's a
Yeah, I think.
here's a
Yeah,
question
go ahead.
for you, that some people posed on Reddit. Um, Now he did tell her earlier in the movie, "Don't ever point a gun at me,"
Yeah.
but she does in this final interaction, and
Oh, that's right.
he
He just kind
turns
of laughs, huh?
around. He turns around and he waits to see if she's going to pull the trigger. She doesn't. Question on Reddit is now. Remember, Alejandro is a very broken man, right? I mean, he's
Yeah.
a hollowed out ghost of a
Yeah.
man.
Right.
Um, do you think he? Do you think he is big dick energy saying like you can't shoot me because I'm a wolf, or do you think he's looking at her saying go ahead and do it, I don't give a shit, like I'm done? Do you think he wanted her to pull the trigger is the question I'm putting to you.
That's a really interesting question. I think he might not have cared. But if I had to pick between the two, it was probably more of a big dick energy. Like
That's how it feels
he,
to me.
yeah, he's given her the opportunity and just standing there. And I think he's just like, that's a really good question. Um, uh, I don't think he actually. I think he, like you said, he's just kind of like this hollowed out like ghost of a man. I think he's just kind of now that he's completed his revenge, he's just kind of going wherever the wind takes him type of thing. Maybe.
Right. Although we do know, because there is a second movie, that his revenge is not complete. You
Oh.
know, he's got more people to kill. Good time to mention something I had wanted to mention at the top of the show. Okay, so Sicario 2, Day of the Soldado, not as good as this movie. Although I did watch it, I did like it. I've only seen it once. I will
Yeah.
definitely run, not walk, to see the third one,
Mhm.
which is planned. And I just wanted to mention that although Emily Blunt's character Kate doesn't show up in the second movie, she is planned to show up in the third.
Oh wow. Okay. I have not seen the second one because I heard some bad reviews. from people I trust. But if she's gonna show up in the third one, that might be interesting to bring her back. So maybe I'll have to go check out the second one.
Yeah, I think you should. It's not bad. It's just
Oh,
not
okay.
it's just not as tight as this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's everything I got on tradecraft and analysis of the details of the movie. I'm looking forward to debriefing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Agents, please report for debriefing on this operation. The director will see you now.
Sicario is it's on my top shelf of movies that I just love, and I don't want to relitigate all my things, but just I guess to just restate like this movie, the execution. Okay, the directing is phenomenal. Like.
Mm-hmm.
The directing is above reproach. The acting is above reproach. The portrayal of professional people doing professional stuff is so fucking tight. And that's like all the on the ground, on the screen. I'm eating popcorn. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Fucking is why this is like a 4-star movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 4.5. I think the only way it could be better is maybe if it was science fiction. I'm gonna land on 4. I'm gonna end on 4. What drags it down is the plot doesn't actually make sense. The global overall themes are pitch perfect. The on the ground details pitch perfect. It's in that squishy middle of like, why are we actually doing this stuff? It just kind of doesn't. The dots don't connect for me.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Watching this film again reminded me of how much I loved it and all the action, and I wanted to go with 4.5 stars. But just digging deep into a lot of this stuff that kind of just doesn't add up, I think I'm gonna go with a 4. Because I still think it's a great movie, and I highly recommend it to everybody. I like it. It just gives you this like icky feeling, and also like an enormous amount of intrigue, and it really demonstrates the competing interests at play that I liked a lot.
I mean, it's a thriller in the true sense, like tension builder. Like it builds tension so perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tradecraft wise, my best tradecraft that I saw in this movie, well, my number 3 best was just, making noise to shake Diaz and cause him to have to go to Alarcon. I like that. Seems plausible. I've already quibbled about the timing kind of stuff about that. My number 2 best is just the idea of using Alejandro as the CIA's weapon against Alarcon, even though I don't understand what the broader what the broader objective is, or how it's at the end of the day say their hands are clean and this was just Morty's killing Morty's, to borrow a phrase.
Yeah.
And my number 1 best is definitely like the whole like plot wrapper of using Kate as just this paperwork cover for their operations.
Absolutely. My number 3 best tradecraft was the Phoenix cop Ted sleeping with Kate to try and get info out of her. My number 2 best tradecraft was the same as your number 1 of the using Kate as a cover, but with a little bit of a footnote of like how Matt recruits Kate, where she kind of just hands him the button to push, Like, are we going to get the guys? He's like, we're going to get the real guys responsible, you know. But that leads into my best number one tradecraft. And when Kate and Reggie are grilling Matt about what the hell is going on, he quickly like kind of homogenizes the entire network of the story into, we're trying to use Diaz to get to his boss so that we could get that guy. Is that not good of enough reason for you? You know, I liked that a lot to kind of keep them still on board because they were threatening to walk.
The Medellin name feels like something got lost on the in the translation between the original script and this one. Um, there's not there's no good reason for him to have this nickname. Again, this whole plan. I feel like I can shoot so many holes in it with the tunnel and Diaz that are just things just don't feel connected properly to me. These are mostly complaints about the movie's portrayal of the mechanics of the tradecraft, even though like again like on the ground, like every moment feels authentic. The broader goals feel authentic. Just the strategy seems very weird. And yeah, for easy worst tradecraft for me, like, you know, Sonorans, you didn't bring your A game to trying to stop these guys from crossing the border. You sent a bunch of tattooed idiots. Like you just fed meat into the grinder.
Right.
That wasn't a gunfight that like could have gone one way or the other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Slaughter. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, you know, again, building, like, for the movie's sake, building up the stakes, which it does beautifully. But on a technical level, there was no universe where those guys were going to be able to accomplish anything except fucking get killed. So, yeah, worst tradecraft for the Sonorans on that one. How about you? What are your complaints?
My number three worst tradecraft, you know, following up on the Sonoran ambush, the caravan border crossing, like, why take that route? Why not do an airlift? I presume we have U.S. military bases somewhere in Mexico. Uh, why not take a dirt road? I don't see any trouble for them getting across the border if they're all federal or state or government agents that are already on paperwork somewhere saying we're going to go get this guy and bring him back. So why go through the regular route? My number two worst tradecraft was, again, the Phoenix cop, Ted, having that band in his pocket when he's trying to sleep with Kate. I don't under. There's no universe I can think of as why he would keep that anywhere. And then my number one worst tradecraft is Kate telling Matt she's going to talk. She's out in the middle of nowhere with like 20 some odd special, like trained elite kind of assault guys, and she's gonna yell at Brolin, "Hey, I'm gonna tell everyone what you did." They could easily just off her and Reggie, and no one would even question it. So those are my worst. What do you think of park benches?
I'm going low. I'm going
Yeah.
low because even though, like I said, like it looks like moment to moment, everything looks so fucking authentic, but
Mhm.
we just don't see enough of the wiring under the board, and what we do see, it really crumbles around in my hands.
Mhm.
I'm 3 at the top. I might be down to a 2.5.
A 2.5 sounds pretty good for me. Because even though there's a lot of realistic stuff in this, there wasn't a lot of tradecraft, and even the tradecraft that there was kind of shaky. You know, like you've kind of put the nails in the coffin for just the overall plan and the CIA involvement to begin with. I'm looking at our threes, and we got like Born Supremacy, Sneakers, but our two and a halves is like Eagles Dare, From Russia with Love, Enemy of the State, The Conversation. Uh,
Yeah. Go with your gut there. This is a 2.5.
Yeah, I agree.
This is subpar tradecraft.
Yeah.
But the execution, it feels so good though.
It does. It's seamless. You know what I mean? Everything
Any
feels
given scene,
official.
any given one scene in this movie is a 5 park benches. It's only when you string it all together and realize like it doesn't, like, these things didn't need to happen. You know, like a better movie, like each individual scene I think is a 5, but like they don't connect together.
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely on board with that. Definitely 2.5.
All right, call it.
All right. What do we got going on next? I think we're doing The Spy.
Yeah, we are gonna do The Spy. Now that's only a 6-part series. I've watched half of it. What's your status?
I haven't started. Well, I think I watched the first episode like when it first came out, which was like a few years ago.
I think you're gonna love this one. I think this is right up your alley. This is like The Courier, but better, in my opinion. I'll let you form your own opinions from that. So we'll do 3 episodes. What we'll do is the first 2. I mean, it's 6 episodes. We want to do 3 podcast episodes. So episodes 1 and 2 will be next week. 3 and 4, good. And then 5 and 6. Next movie, I think I had a notion in my head, but I'm not 100%. What I want to hear is when the IC Press File is coming out as a TV show, because I want to do that one and do that as a movie. That'll be coming out really soon, but I just need to see a release date so we can try to time that properly.
Right. Well, I guess we'll figure out the movie while we're doing The Spy then. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess till next time. And that's the end of our show. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at spies_like_us. Visit us on our website at www.spieslikeus.net. You can find out about upcoming episodes. Also, what will really help us out is if you give us a review on wherever you found our podcast, either on iTunes or your Android app or YouTube or wherever you listen to us. Even if you didn't like the show, just give us a review. It'll help us, give us feedback so we can make the show better. And it can also help other people who haven't found the show yet find out about us. Hey, Moira, initiate Protocol 9.
Protocol 9 initiated. This podcast will self-destruct in 20 seconds. The preceding transmission sampled the songs Ice Cold by Audionautix, Enter the Party by Kevin MacLeod, and sound effects from freesound.org. Attributions and links are found at spieslikeus.net. Editing by Todd Hostetler.